Blink, and September quickly fades to November. Doesn't it seem like camp just broke yesterday? But now another season is down to its waning moments.
It's surreal that time has flown so fast.
And the Irish careers of men who've seen such huge highs and tough lows will soon end.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a wild ride.
And I wouldn't change anything.
We just want to leave a great legacy here.
Today, they take one last trip down that storied tunnel.
I get emotional just leading them.
It's going to be tough.
With one more chance to extend their long home turf winning streak.
Our players take great pride in protecting their house.
And they do it against a pesky foe that has authored a few November nightmares, when the Irish forgot this simple message.
Focus on beating BC.
Focus and know one thing about Senior Day.
It's only memorable if you win it.
Live from Notre Dame Stadium, this is 16 News Now's Countdown to Kickoff.
A gray and chilly November Saturday in Michiana is greeting the Irish faithful as they return to campus one last time in 2019. They're decked out in their best green, blue, and gold and ready again to root on for their Fighting Irish.
And now you are looking live inside Notre Dame Stadium, where Rock's House closes out its 90th campaign with another visit from Boston College. The 5-5 Eagles come back to town for their 25th all-time matchup with the 8-2 and 16th ranked Fighting Irish.
Good afternoon and welcome to 16 News Now's Countdown to Kickoff. I'm Sports Director Mark Skoll Jr.
And I'm WHME Sports Director Chuck Freebie. So we're down to the regular season's last two games. We've known for a while there will not be a return trip to the playoff for the Irish. But there are still quite a few things, Mark, left for the Irish to play for this afternoon.
I know Irish fans and Notre Dame themselves are disappointed they won't be going back to the college football playoff, but there are tons of things left to play for. If they win out in the last two regular season games, they'll win 10 games in 3 consecutive seasons for the first time since the early 90s. And to top that all off, a win today means another clean slate at home, 18 in a row at the house that Rockne built.
And let's face it, if you want that fate chance of playing in a New Year's Six bowl game, a lot of things have to happen. But that doesn't happen unless you win 10 games, so the Irish have to keep that hope alive as well. Now, it is also Senior Day here at Notre Dame Stadium. Mark, I've been through, I don't know, about 37 of these, and it's always an emotional day for the guys as they make that last trip down through the tunnel, and you got tears in your eyes and you're thinking of how quickly the 4 years have flown by. But you saw the quote from Jalen Elliott at the end of the Open. Senior Day doesn't mean a darn thing if you don't win it.
Yeah, and the players today, when we talked to them earlier this week, they were already emotional on Tuesday. Imagine what the feelings are going to be like today. It's going to be tough for these seniors to play the last home game, but going out with a win would certainly be a good thing for them.
Now, one thing that motivates this senior class, and it hasn't been talked about a lot, they were freshmen during that 4-8 debacle back in 2016. And that really stuck with some of them for a long, long time. In fact, one player this week referred to that season as hellish. The fact that they've been able to turn it around and put themselves in a position where they could have 3 straight 10-win seasons may speak the most of anything about this senior class.
Well, you learn a lot from watching winning teams and seeing that winning culture, but you also learn a lot from watching teams lose. And Notre Dame learned that year that that was not the standard to play at in 2016. They learned from it, and they grew from that, and they became the team they are today. And the senior class says 2016 changed them for the better. They wanted to make sure a 4-8 season would not happen on their watch ever again at Notre Dame.
We always had our goal of winning a national championship, but we also, like the 4-8 season was a point where we never wanted to go back to, and so that kind of definitely helped fuel us, definitely fuel to the fire.
Our expectations as a team are obviously way higher in my freshman year. So when coming in, I never expected that to happen, but the way we rebounded kind of shows kind of the people that my teammates are and people that the coaches are and all that. We really took the steps to make these last few seasons memorable ones. So I think it's important for us to finish this season the way we finished the last couple seasons.
So obviously the motivation there to finish strong here in 2019. But there's one problem to the storyline today, and that's the team that's warming up behind us, because throughout the history of Notre Dame football, at least in the last 25 years, there's been no team that's been more of a spoiler to really good Irish seasons than Boston College. And Mark, this is the one that sticks with me. 1993, Notre Dame thought they had this thing all wrapped up coming off the win over Florida State. They had the remarkable comeback, and then David Gordon, a name that is going to haunt Irish fans for a long, long time, knocks home that field goal and spoils the national championship season. And unfortunately, that's not the only time it's happened.
No, in 2002, Notre Dame was 8-0. It looked like they were getting back to their glory days, and Boston College came into Notre Dame Stadium and shocked the Irish. They're wearing the green uniforms. The hype was real, and it seemed like Notre Dame never really recovered from that game. It is unbelievable how much spoiler Boston College has played to Notre Dame over the years.
So there's no question Boston College views this game as a rivalry, and that at times very contentious relationship with BC and its fans is the topic of today's Lock Monday Auto Group Irish fan poll on WNU.com.
We're asking you, do you consider Boston College a rival of Notre Dame? Right now, 53% of you say yes, you consider the Eagles a rival. 47% of you say no, this matchup is not a rivalry. There is still time to vote. Lock Monday Auto Group Irish fan poll on WNU.com. We'll bring you the final results in a little more than 40 minutes on the countdown.
132 years ago today, Notre Dame played its first football game. It was an 8-0 loss to rival Michigan right here in South Bend. People flooded Twitter with messages about that.
Yeah, it was your first game here at the stadium.
Right.
Yeah, the game came just 18 years after the first ever college football game between Rutgers and Princeton, and the sport has been celebrating that 150th anniversary all season long.
Today, Notre Dame finally joins that sesquicentennial party with throwback uniforms to resemble those worn during the 1988 national championship season. They feature the patch that many other programs have worn all year, marking the 150th anniversary, and numbers with the distinct air holes in them, much like the Irish wore during that banner year.
It's going to be exciting to see those uniforms today. It's not going to look much different.
No, it doesn't. Well, the mesh look, it was big in the 80s, but so were Izods and pop collars and things like that.
Awesome. Well, there's still a lot to come on the countdown from Notre Dame Stadium this afternoon. Up next, rugged Trevor Ruland. The Irish offensive lineman has battled through so much just to get back on the field. A look at the laundry list of injuries he's overcome, and he tells us why he keeps fighting.
And here's your first Subway trivia test of the afternoon. The Irish hope to equal this today. When was the last time Notre Dame had back-to-back undefeated seasons at home? The answer when the countdown rolls back in 2 minutes.
Here is your Subway trivia answer.
The last time Notre Dame went undefeated at home in back-to-back seasons was 1988 and 1989. The heyday of the Lou Holtz era saw the Irish ranked number 1 in the country for 7 of those games. It also included the 88 epics with Michigan and Miami before Notre Dame climbed to the top spot. Overall, Lou's Irish won 19 straight in Rock's House when you tack on wins at the end of '87 and the beginning of the 1990 season.
A golden era of Notre Dame football for sure. The Irish offensive line this year has lost 2 starters, leaving their replacements to live up to the next man in mentality.
The Countdown's Megan Smedley joins us from down the field with how one of those next men in is lucky just to be playing no matter how many snaps he gets. Megan?
Yeah, guys, when Tommy Kramer went down with an MCL sprain against Michigan, it was finally Trevor Ruland's time to shine. Ruland himself has been plagued by injuries his entire career. Most recently, another setback that came this spring that cost him a potential starting position. Doctors say he shouldn't play, but that's not stopping him.
I didn't know if I was going to be able to play. I'm beat up, I won't lie to you. And I've been told not to play, that I shouldn't play because I got the knee of an 80-year-old, they say.
Injuries have derailed Trevor Ruland's collegiate career, but that sure hasn't changed his love for the game.
He loves to play, and he loves being with his teammates. There's a connection there that has kept him persevering through all these injuries.
And that list of injuries is daunting. Since he got to Notre Dame, Ruland has had 3 surgeries on his left knee, a broken elbow, broken ankle, and a broken nose. He's also torn both pecs and his labrum. The right guard is finally healthy enough to start. He just hates the way he got the role.
I would trade, playing right now for Tommy and Rob to be healthy for sure. It's heartbreaking seeing them on crutches on the sideline.
Ruland says he wakes up hurting every morning.
I live in the training room, and I do everything I can to get out there and practice.
But says it's something every college football player deals with.
Wouldn't change anything, and coming back was the best thing I've done. It's been so rewarding just to teach some of the younger guys some things and come back here and contributing, helping a good team win some ball games. It's been fantastic.
He's leaving a reputation of perseverance.
His legacy is just overcoming a number of injuries and now really getting a chance in his last year to contribute to success.
Today marks the final day Trevor Ruland gets to play in the house that Rockne built. He says his mom was already emotional about the moment last week.
57, Trevor Ruland.
Just thinking about it now, I'm starting to get a little emotional. It's been a lot, and I wouldn't change anything. And to think this is my last time going out there, I remember running out there as Texas as a redshirt offensive lineman. It's going to be tough.
But he knows he has a football game to play and that the emotions need to be pushed aside.
Once we start playing, I'll play. And then once it's over, take my pictures, celebrate a little bit, and then get ready for one more.
Ruland says he and the other offensive linemen like to joke that practice is so hard, there's no way they'll be able to make it back out the next day. But in the end, they always make it back out onto the practice field because they play for the guy next to them. Guys.
It's amazing to me. Notre Dame, he clearly loves Notre Dame more than probably any other player on this team, I think.
Well, and he loves to play football, because if you didn't love it, you wouldn't go through what he's gone through to get back out onto the field.
Now, we are a quarter of the countdown, but we still have a lot to share with you this afternoon.
Up next, BC has a star running back, so just how good is A.J. Dillon? Tim O'Malley scouts him for us, and we've got much more to come in the Irish Illustrated Report.
And you can subscribe to Irish Illustrated, the #1 source for Notre Dame sports online. Just head to irishillustrated.com and click on Join to find the best plan for you.
Back on the countdown, time for the Irish Illustrated Report. Tim O'Malley has finally broken and gotten gloves at least. Besides you not wearing a coat, what will this season be remembered for?
There's no coat needed yet at this point, but unfortunately, I think even if Notre Dame goes 11-2, I do believe people will kind of have regret over losing at Georgia and the way the Michigan game went down. That you don't erase that, but glass half full. 11-2 with a New Year's Six Bowl win, especially, would be something remembered for, or against maybe another top-tier program name in the Camping World Bowl. But I think it's hard to escape the 2 losses, and one of them that could have been avoided.
Now, Tim, today's senior day. Which Irish senior will Notre Dame miss the most next season?
Because I think Notre Dame's wide receivers are up and coming, including suspended Kevin Austin. I would have said Chase Claypool, but I like the receivers coming up. I really think it's going to be Alohi Gilman. Now, Kyle Hamilton should be a great sophomore next year, but you're asking a lot for a transfer coming in Isaiah Pryor or Houston Griffith to take over for Jalen Elliott and Gilman basically in that role. So I think Gilman's toughness, leadership is going to be a guy that's tough to replace next season.
How good is this kid at running back today for BC, A.J. Dillon?
Yeah, well, everybody including Notre Dame, wanted him as a linebacker, and he's proving everyone wrong. It's not just Notre Dame's fault on that, but he is definitely one of the top 5 running backs in the country. He's a load. It's not thunder and lightning with he and David Bailey, another 245-pounder. It's hammer and anvil, or thunder and thunder. It's really have to gang tackle today. This is not Navy where it's just scheme. You have to bring it every time, and that's what Jalen Elliott said this week. We have to gang tackle because the 2 together for BC have made 100 tacklers miss through 10 games this season.
Now, Tim, from a former Notre Dame recruit to this current class, how is recruiting going for the Irish this year?
They're going to be a solid top 10 class, but what I like most about it, according to 24/7 Sports, are some of the best players are positions of need. Chris Tyree, a 5-star running back. Jordan Johnson, a 5-star wide receiver. They're replenishing at tight end with Michael Mayer, probably the best tight end in the country, and a couple of really good defensive ends and offensive tackles. And you say, well, what about quarterback? But that's coming the next year in Tyler Buckner. He's going to be a 5-star quarterback and one of the best they brought in that regard.
So we were both so bad last week, I hesitate to ask this prediction.
It's got to be closer than what we had last week in terms of the prediction and the game a little bit, I would assume. But I'm always wary of going heavily against Boston College because I've been here a few times where senior day has gone south. I don't think the Eagles have that type of team this year. I'm in the 38 to 20 range for Notre Dame. I like the way the offense is playing. Every once in a while, we start to jump on board and think everything's fixed. I'm not sure everything's fixed, but I do like the way they're rolling, and I like Clark Lee's defense in the end against A.J. Dillon.
That's Tim O'Malley from Irish Illustrated. You can subscribe to that publication. It's the #1 source for Notre Dame sports online. Just head to irishillustrated.com and click on Join to find the best plan for you. Still to come on the countdown, Irish-inspired art.
The woman behind these incredible pieces has quite a connection to the University of Notre Dame. She shares her story and her passion with us when the countdown returns in 2 minutes. For generations, this campus and this stadium have inspired millions of people to do and create many great things.
The Countdown's Lindsay Stone joins us. And Lindsay, you recently met one woman whose incredible works are infused with the spirit of the Fighting Irish.
Chuck and Mark, you said it. There is nothing quite like Notre Dame Stadium. You can see the glimmer of the Golden Dome and the watchful eyes of Touchdown Jesus, all without leaving your seat. It's the very place that's inspired artist Kathleen Kiefer's work for decades. We all have our game day rituals.
Go Irish!
The fans grill out, the players walk across campus, and Kathleen Kiefer grabs her pastels.
I love the stillness on the field of battle.
Every artist has their muse. For Kathleen, Notre Dame isn't just her inspiration, it's part of her family history.
I'm a triple legacy. I grew up in Chicago, and my father's class of 55. His father was class of 28 and played football for Newt Rockne.
Fight, 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 fight!
Growing up, she always had a knack for art. And when it was time for Kathleen to choose a school, she knew exactly where she wanted to be.
All of Notre Dame is one big golden family. I've been painting for probably for 4 years. Okay, professionally since college. I never had another job.
Her work has landed her in galleries across the globe and rubbing elbows with Hollywood's biggest stars.
Kelly Clarkson just bought a piece of pop art. Buzz Aldrin has a piece that I did in commemoration of the moon landing, the 50-year anniversary. Like TV stars like Florence Henderson and James Cameron, the director.
While Kathleen's work is always evolving, she always comes back to painting her precious Notre Dame. She and her husband, Jim, make it a priority to return to their alma mater each fall.
When I paint Notre Dame Avenue, I feel like I'm coming home. Every time I drive up Notre Dame Avenue, I get chill bumps.
With pastels in hand, Kathleen paints a place that never ceases to be her inspiration. And a few months ago, Kathleen brought some of her work to an alumni event, including a portrait of Ian Book. Now, Ian later showed up at that event and saw the piece, and he was so inspired by it. He immediately pulled out his phone, FaceTimed his dad back in California, and said, "Dad, I have to have it." And so, Chuck and Mark, in case you are wondering, that portrait is definitely still in the Book family.
Well, it's good to know that the books could play buy or sell, too. Thank you very much, Lindsay, because it is time for buy or sell on the countdown. We start with postseason possibilities. Mark, a New Year's Six bowl against a group of 5 team is better than a lesser bowl versus a Power 5 team. Do you buy or sell that comment?
I'm going to sell that one. I've seen Notre Dame play a few group of 5 teams over the last 2 seasons. I don't need to see them play another one. I would rather them beat a better team in a bowl game like the Camping World Bowl down in Orlando. And that way, that can give them some momentum going into next season.
That said, as a Texas alum, I'm sure, because the correct answer to that question is buy, because people want to go to a New Year's Six bowl. That's the glory game. And if you win one of those, even if it's against a Power 5 team, that gives you a huge boost of momentum going into next year.
Now, Chuck, to today's game, Boston College, are they a Notre Dame rival, buy or sell?
They think so, but they're wrong because Notre Dame doesn't think about them. You know, it's the old Coco Chanel comment when people say, well, I don't think much about you, and she says, I never think of you. Who sits there and thinks of Boston College? Look at the stadium today. It's going to be half empty. That's not a rival.
I'm buying that one. They call it the Holy War for a reason. They wouldn't give it a nickname if it wasn't a rivalry.
They call it that because St. Louis dropped football in 49. Chase Claypool is Notre Dame's MVP. Buy or sell?
I'm going to have to sell this one. Chase Claypool's had a great year, but I can't give the MVP to a wide receiver who's not affecting every play. I got to give it to, if I had to, anybody, defensive end Khalid Kareem. He's been rock solid. We talked about them being the best defensive line in the country going into this season. He's been really good, possibly a first-round pick.
Khalid Kareem is your MVP? He wouldn't even be in my top 2. I'd go Ian Book at 2, but Chase Claypool is the MVP of this team because without Chase Claypool, they would have been dead in the water against Virginia Tech. They wouldn't have had a chance against Georgia. Chase Claypool has kept this offense afloat when Ian Book was struggling.
Notre Dame holds A.J. Dillon under 100 yards today. Buy or sell?
Oh, I'm selling that. I've seen worse backs than A.J. Dillon get 100 yards against this team this year. He's a load at 250 pounds. They have to give it to him 30 times. They will.
I'm going to sell this one as well. I think he's just so good, over 1,400 yards this season. He's been a monster.
Okay, Clark Lee, is he still at Notre Dame next season? Buy or sell?
I'm going to buy this one. I think he needs some more time here at Notre Dame. Obviously, he's great. He's going to be a head coach someday, but for right now, I'm buying it. Chuck?
Well, Vanderbilt closed up their job when they rehired Derek Mason. I think that's the one job Clark Lee would have left for right away. I think he'll bide his time and find a good one.
All right, as we hit the halfway point on the countdown, we've got a lot left to bring you. Up next, the Irish seniors are set to play one last time in Rock's house.
That includes his beloved Khalid Kareem. We talked to 2 captains about the memories they've made and how they plan to take it all in today. Quick hits on the countdown when we return in 2 minutes. Khalid Kareem? Head coach Steve Adazio and his Boston College Eagles have headed west from the Heights, and they've returned again to Notre Dame Stadium. BC hopes to pull off another stunner against the Irish and bring bragging rights back to Chestnut Hill.
Kelly's crew has other plans for today's tilt with their old foe. They want to defend home turf, make quick work of the Eagles, and send Boston College home as the 18th straight visitor to taste defeat at Notre Dame Stadium. Back inside the countdown with WHME Sports Director Chuck Freeby. I'm 16 News Now Sports Director Mark Skoll Jr.
And now we bring Megan and Lindsay back in for some quick hits on the countdown. Megan leads us off this afternoon with what 2 Irish senior captains are saying before their final home game.
Chuck, 28 members of the Irish will be honored here on the field in just a few minutes. And for some of them, it may be the very last time they walk down that tunnel. One of those seniors is Jalen Elliott. Elliott makes up part of the tough Irish safety corps. So far in his career with the Irish, the defensive back has 6 interceptions and 161 tackles. He's one of the 7 Irish captains this season, something he did not expect.
I probably would have told you were crazy, but I'm thankful for everything that I've kind of been through in these 4 years. That have allowed me to get to this point. It's going to be, big to kind of stay locked into the process of getting up to the game, not worrying too much about, like, oh, it's my last game. More worried about, just preparing the right way so that we can come out victorious on Saturday.
Now, as you heard earlier, Jalen Elliott will be taking his head coach Brian Kelly's advice on this senior day. It's only memorable if you win it. And one of his fellow captains, Khalid Kareem, hopes to soak in as many memories as he can. Kareem has been part of the defensive powerhouse for the Irish for the past 3 seasons. He leads the Irish this season with 4.5 sacks and has racked up 25 tackles for a loss during his tenure. The defensive end said he's bringing back a tradition from his very first game at Notre Dame Stadium for his very last game in the house that Rockne built.
I'm definitely taking the walk a little bit. I mean, I think I recorded my first walk on my phone, something like that, so I'm definitely going to do this with my last one. I mean, probably can always do it, as an alum, maybe, I don't know. But definitely going to take this last one in a little bit more, like the smells, the sounds, what everything looks like. But also I'm looking forward to running out and hugging my parents before the game.
Now, Kareem says in recent weeks, this team has been having a lot more fun together. In fact, it feels like Friday nights back in high school. And Chuck, the Irish D hopes to have more fun today by stopping a guy that could have been their teammate, right?
Megan, we talked about him before. BC star running back A.J. Dillon is a former Irish recruit, and it is easy to see why any team would have wanted him in their backfield. Dillon's a junior, but he's already BC's all-time leading rusher with more than 4,100 yards. He is the first Eagles running back to ever rush for more than 1,000 yards in each of his first 3 seasons. Dillon also has the most rushing touchdowns in Boston College history, 37. This season, he's a Doak Walker's semifinalist for the nation's top running back. The 250-pound force is tough to pin down on and off the field. Brian Kelly learned that when he tried to bring him to South Bend.
That he was a really good player, somebody that we had offered and would have liked to have come to Notre Dame. We never really had an opportunity, but felt like BC was the best fit for him, and it's obviously worked out, quite well for him.
Still, Dillon does have some strong Irish ties. He is the grandson of a Notre Dame legend, the Hall of Fame wide receiver, Tom Gatewood.
Chuck, Dillon is not the only member of the Boston College football program with Irish ties. The Eagles head coach Steve Adazio was an assistant coach at Notre Dame from 1999 to 2001 when he coached the tight ends, the offensive tackles, and special teams. Adazio knows what it takes to win in the house that Rockne built, and playing Notre Dame here today will certainly be tough, but he believes his Eagles are up for the challenge.
You've got to have great preparation because you've got to go into that stadium with great confidence, and you've got to have a warrior mentality. When you go into that tunnel and get ready to go on that field, it's not easy to go beat Notre Dame at Notre Dame. And I just think that, in your preparation when you play a team like Notre Dame, you've got to have great respect for them, and then you've got to have great preparation so that you can have that warrior mentality.
Adazio hopes that warrior mentality can get Boston College its first win in Rock's house since 2007. Lindsay, there are many connections between these two programs. Of course, Frank Leahy is the biggest, but you have to go a long way for the most touching one.
Yes, Mark. Now, Michiana Dunn's sister Barbara Ann Hallman, when she first decided to write to Boston College linebacker Mark Herzlich nearly a decade ago, she never imagined where it would lead. Now, we first shared this story back in 2009. Sister Barbara Ann, a cancer survivor and diehard college football fan, learned Herzlich was battling cancer. She decided to write to encourage him. Soon the two became pen pals and a friendship began, culminating with them meeting right here at the stadium when BC came to visit. Their survivor's bond built through caring and a little ingenuity.
At least I was in my 70s when I had cancer, so I thought I'm not letting that go. And so I played around, found his home address, and I wrote to him every week. And his mother kept all those letters separately.
And Mark is now retired from the NFL, married and raising a family. Sister Barbara Ann tells me that the two still remain close to this day. They still chat from time to time, still exchange letters. And what's even cooler is that even though they are rivals, she says she still enjoys when her friend's alma mater comes to town.
Lindsay, you could say their contact has become a habit. Up next on the countdown, representing the 5-7-4 in style. Penn High School's Paul Moala found Pater last week against the Middies. I look back on how he got here and ahead at the big plans the Irish have for the linebacker.
And here is another Subway trivia question for you. Before Chase Claypool did it last week, who was the last Irish receiver with 4 touchdown catches in a game, and who did he do it against? The answer when the countdown returns in 2 minutes.
Here is your Subway trivia answer.
Before Chase Claypool matched him last week, Maurice Stovall was the last and only Irish receiver to ever catch 4 touchdown passes in a game. Stovall caught those 4 Brady Quinn TDs against BYU in 2005. Number 21 had a banner day against the Cougars with 14 catches and 207 yards receiving as Notre Dame coasted to a 49-23 victory.
While the Canadian Claypool was making all the big plays on offense last week, the defensive play of the game came from someone who grew up right in our backyard.
Former Penn standout Paul Moala is the shortest member of the Irish linebacking corps, but he continues to make the kind of plays that make him stand above the rest.
We got used to seeing it when he was at Penn, whether it was defense or special teams. Paul Moala always had the knack for making the big play.
Whether it be a big play, a big tackle, an interception, maybe a kick return or punt return, I'm just trying to look for ways that I can help.
So when this happened last week against Navy,
Intercepted out of the air by Paul Moala, the local star, took the option pitch and turned it into 6.
we weren't surprised, and neither was he.
Flashbacks, man. Flashbacks to high school. And yeah, but it's just different because the crowds are bigger. The teammates are a lot closer, so just to be able to have that experience with a new team and a new family was just a great opportunity.
And as far as the Irish coaches are concerned, more of those opportunities will come, not because Moala scored, but because of everything else he's able to bring to the field.
Paul's smart, he's savvy, he's athletic. I mean, the play he made on the halfback pass was even better. I know the ball went into his hands and he scored a touchdown, and that's kind of, highlight, but the play he made, on the reverse pass was as good as it gets.
I think he's found a level of consistency, and, I'm excited for him to have a role for us. He's done a really nice job, and he's ready. He's prepared himself.
In order to be able to have an opportunity like this, I'd have to have faith and believe that I'd get the opportunity. So that was the first step, I think.
The next step is a continued push for increased playing time in 2020. In the meantime, if it seems to local fans that Paul Moala is living the dream, well, he wouldn't disagree.
An exhilarating experience, a dream come true, really. Just a testament to how well our defense plays all together, and to have that opportunity to be able to score is just a surreal moment.
As humble a kid you'd want to see, number 13 down there warming up at the front of that pack. Now, Notre Dame, Mark, has had players from the area be big contributors on the field. Guys like Anthony Johnson and Rick Meyer of the Holtz era. But Moala is the first local player to score a touchdown for the Irish since Valparaiso's Jeff Samardzija did it back in 2006.
And he was pretty good, and all those guys were offensive players. For a local kid to do that on defense, well, that may put Paul Moala in a class all by himself.
Still to come on the countdown, which bowl is best? A Cotton return against a lesser-known team or a smaller bowl against a big-time program?
We'll ask Darren Pritchett that question and more. It's Sports Beat on the countdown when we return in 2 minutes.
It's Sports Beat on the countdown with the host of Weekday and Game Day Sports Beat on WSBT Radio, Darren Pritchett. Let's start with the postseason hopes. I know this came up on your postgame show last week. Would you rather Notre Dame play a Group of 5 team in the Cotton Bowl or a Power 5 program in the Camping World Bowl?
See, that's tough. Can I have the best of both worlds? Can I get a really good team in the Cotton Bowl? Chuck, I want them to play the best team possible. To me, it's the final examination, find out where you are at the end of the year. I don't believe in winning or losing is going to affect the start of next year, but I would like to see the Irish play the best team possible, and if you win, it's good because what do you hear all the time from the national people? Well, when's Notre Dame going to win that big bowl game? Well, it's not a playoff game, but it would be a good start.
I like your answer there. All right,
thank you. Chuck told me to say that.
No, I didn't.
So where have you seen the greatest improvement from this year's Irish team?
I'm going to say linebacker because remember the first 2 weeks, it was a revolving door like at Macy's. I mean, people were coming in and out of the lineup. Bilal and White have settled things down. So I think from where we were in the first 2 weeks, they've come a long way.
So where did this team not meet your lofty expectations this year?
Maybe it's because of injury. Jafar Armstrong, I thought the running game would be good. Not as good as last year. Dexter was the home run hitter. You didn't have that type of guy. But I thought the running game would be very, very solid. It's been really hit and miss.
Now, Darren, it's our Lock Monday Auto Group Irish fan poll question. Do you consider Boston College a rival of Notre Dame?
It's more of a rivalry game for Boston College to me. I was actually talking to their football broadcaster today. He goes, we don't have a rival in the ACC for football. So this is a big game for BC. I think truly the best rivalry game is in hockey between these two teams. Two elite programs. Notre Dame and BC in football are on different levels.
How does this game play out today?
I think Notre Dame has a little trouble with the BC running game, but I think as the game goes on, Notre Dame's offense is not going to be stopped by this BC defense. So I had it 38-13 Notre Dame.
Apparently the speakers at the stadium aren't going to be stopped either. Thanks, Darren, for being with us.
Thank you.
We're back with more after this. Here are the final results of this week's Lock Monday Auto Group Irish fan poll on WNDU.com.
We asked you, do you consider Boston College a rival of Notre Dame? 53% of you say yes about the battles with BC. 47% of you say no, the Eagles are not a rival. Thank you for voting in the Lock Monday Auto Group Irish fan poll all season long on WNDU.com.
We touched on it earlier. Last week here at Notre Dame Stadium, Irish wide receiver Chase Claypool had a day for the history books. 4 touchdown catches in the game.
But after that game, Claypool said that didn't even come close to his career best performance, where he scored 10 touchdowns in one game in 8th grade in Canada. Now, it may not be just that showy, but in his final season in South Bend, Claypool is still putting on quite a show. Chase Claypool has never lacked confidence.
4 touchdowns. It's not 50-50 ball. It should be like 80-20, 90-10 ball. I told Book if he throws it up, it's usually a catch.
This season alone, Claypool has 9 touchdown catches.
Claypool, touchdown, Notre Dame.
That tops his touchdown total from his first 3 years on campus combined.
Claypool, touchdown.
And Claypool knows he's grown since year 1 in the shadow of the Golden Dome.
I understand now what they're asking from me. I think I've become a smarter player, obviously a more physical player. And now that the ball's kind of coming to me a little more, I've become a more confident player as well.
Catch made inside the 10.
Still, Brian Kelly says Claypool's growth on the field came after he was able to channel that confidence.
He's just developed, as a young man would in our program. I think the mark of a strong program is that you're better at the end of your career than at the start of your career, and he's sacrificed a lot to be where he is today.
His quarterback has taken notice of that sacrifice and rewarded him for it.
That is big time play.
Ian Book has thrown the ball at Claypool more than any other Irish receiver this season. Book says Claypool has earned the targets.
He's taking the next step. Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday in practice, not only going out there and just working hard every day, but being a leader too, and that's excelled his game a ton.
Now, in his final game at Notre Dame Stadium this afternoon, Claypool hopes he can soak it all in as he puts a bow on his college career.
And it's been a wild ride for sure, and I enjoy every memory that I made here in South Bend in that stadium, and kind of on the road trips with my teammates. But it's surreal that time has flown so fast, but I'm enjoying every second of it.
Now, during spring ball, Claypool said that he wanted to get 15 touchdown catches this year. He already has 9, 6 away, 3 games left to play. Certainly could happen for him.
And he's doing it with 3 dislocated fingers. At least that's what Brian Kelly told us on his radio show Thursday night. Up next, it's the pregame ceremonies, including our national anthem, then the Irish keys to the game X Factors, and score predictions in the Four Winds Casino. What to watch for? That's in 2 minutes on the countdown. Back on the countdown, the closing strains of America the Beautiful here at the stadium. The colors today were presented by the student body presidents and vice presidents from the University of Notre Dame, St. Mary's College, and Holy Cross College. The national anthem will be performed, as always, by the Band of the Fighting Irish, and then we'll have a flyover from 2 Air Force Huey helicopters out of the 1st Helicopter Squadron from Joint Base Andrews in Maryland. Band announcer John Thompson making the announcement to the crowd about the presentation of the colors. It is not a sellout crowd at Notre Dame Stadium today. You can see large swaths of empty seats here on this chilly day. But this crowd will honor America now as they've all come to their feet for the playing of our national anthem.
Tim Dye, Director of Bands at the University of Notre Dame.
shot.
There you see those Air Force Huey helicopters flying over from their joint base Anders. It's now the Four Winds Casino What to Watch For, and we start with our Irish keys to the game. Mark, we got.
You can't let up in this one. You got to score early and often, and once you score, you can't let them get going. Megan?
You got to finish strong. Keep that home win streak alive, Chuck.
The only way BC wins this game is if the Irish let them with turnovers, so limit the turnovers. X factors.
I'm going with Cole Clement. I picked him as my X factor last week. He didn't get one reception. I'm expecting to get a little bit more today. Megan?
I'm going Tony Jones Jr. comes back from the injury, finally has a breakout game that he's kind of haven't had in a little bit. Chuck?
Chase Claypool's my MVP. He's really good. Now it's prediction time, Mark.
Notre Dame's going to win big time today, 45-10 over Boston College. Megan?
I'm going Notre Dame's going to win 49-20. Chuck?
A little closer to your neighborhood than Skulls, 45-21. The Irish win this one. So now we get ready to turn it over to NBC. Mike Tirico, Doug Flutie, and Catherine Tappan for their coverage of the Irish and the Eagles. Then Mark and I are back here right after the game with highlights and post-game reaction and maybe a sobbing senior or two on 16 News Now. For Megan and Mark, Chuck Freeby, thanks for watching, and as always, go Irish.